Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to the CEC15 July 19th, 2022 calendar, business and annual meetings. I am Camille Casaretti. I'm the president of CEC15, and I would like to call this meeting to order at 6:37. Right now, there are 71 people on the call. Before we do the roll, I would like to invite our interpreters to introduce themselves in their languages, please. Let's start with Arabic.
Or Spanish? Good afternoon, and I will start the Arabic announcement. مساء الخير جميعا. توجد خدمة ترجمة باللغة العربية للاستفادة من خدمة الترجمة. برجاء الاتصال على رقم 347-966-4114. رقم الاتصال مرة أخرى 347-966-4114، والدخول وبرجاء الضغط على أو الاتصال برمز ترجمة حجرة اللغة العربية، وهو 553-295-467، والضغط على رمز الشباك مرة تانية 553-295-467، والضغط على رمز الشباك. ورجاء وضع أنفسكم على الصامت للاستفادة من الترجمة لحين احتياج للسؤال. شكرا جزيلا. The Arabic announcement is complete.
Thank you. I'd like to ask the Spanish interpreter to please announce information.
Yes, good evening. The following message will be said in Spanish. Buenas noches. Hoy Marisela y yo, conjunto a Rafael, estaremos ofreciendo servicios de interpretación en español. Por favor, marque al 347-966-4114 y ingrese el número de conferencia 696-637-939, símbolo numeral. Si desea escuchar audio en español, pero desea permanecer en esta sala de conferencias con Zoom para poder ver la reunión usando su computadora, silencie su computadora y el volumen y marque su teléfono a la línea de conferencia en español. Nuevamente, la línea de conferencia en español es 347-966-4114. Ingrese el número de conferencia 696-637-939, símbolo numeral. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I would like to invite the Chinese interpreter to please announce yourself. And if the three of you would just please drop the phone numbers and links in the chat for the interpretation line. Thank you so much.
Good evening. The following message will be in Chinese. 大家晚上好，由大家说中文普通话的翻译我直播的电话347-966-4114，由数语会议 ID 号码458-563-670井号键。重复一次电话347-966-4114，数语会议 ID 号码458-563-670井号键。谢谢。Thank you.
Thank you so much. Antonia, I'll hand it back over to you for the roll.
Okay. Camille Casaretti.
I am present.
Antonia Ferraro. Yes, I'm present. Tia Shelstead. Tia Shelstead. I did admit her at one point, but I don't see her over here.
I'll try to get in touch with her.
Okay. Vincent Liu.
Present.
Nana Poku-Ajikun.
Present.
Alfred DeAngelis.
Present.
Joseph Alexander. I don't recall admitting him, so I'm gonna say absent unless he comes late. Yvonne Banda had a family.
I'm sorry. I think Joe's having a problem with the phone because when I tried to call him before, we got disconnected right away. So I will try him again as well.
Okay. All right. Ivan Banda is having a family emergency. He is out of the country. And Nancy Randall,
Present.
Vanessa Gonzalez Uoka.
Present.
Oh, I see Tia Shelstead is just joining the meeting. Tia, are you present? Tia Shelstead, are you present? I guess I'll put a question mark there. Tia, one more time. Are you present?
Present.
Okay. All right. Nakia Muhasa Brown.
Present.
Okay, we do have quorum. And we do not yet have a student member, and we are seeking a new student member. We will send out an email with the application. And if you know of anybody who's an incoming senior who would be interested in this position, please share the application with them. I will now read the introduction to CEC15. Thank you all for coming to District 15 Community Education Council meeting tonight. We appreciate your time and we're glad that you could join us. For those of you who are new to CEC15 meetings, there are 32 CECs throughout the city, plus 4 citywide councils. Each CEC represents a community school district, and each is made up of 11 volunteer members, 9 of whom were elected by parents in the district, and the remaining members were appointed by the Brooklyn Borough President, as well as our 1 high school student member. CEC15 is a state-mandated public body responsible for ensuring that public school parents and the public have input in educational decisions that are made at the school district level. Our council reviews education policies and advocates for high quality education that benefit all of our District 15 public, elementary, and middle school students. CEC15 serves 35 elementary and middle schools and 1 high school under the oversight of our superintendent. CEC members serve in an advisory role on education matters to the district superintendent, the chancellor of the Department of Education, and to state and city elected officials. We approve district school zoning lines submitted by the Department of Education. We evaluate our district superintendent. We review the district's educational programs, and we support school leadership teams. We also submit recommendations for the School Construction Authority's annual capital plan. We actively seek input and feedback from the public and encourage you to visit our website, CEC15.org, and take a look at our Facebook page, connect with us on Twitter, and write to us about any issues you may want to address or learn about. Each school has a CEC liaison. All of our names and contact info are available on our website, and I will just remind everybody once again to sign in via the sign-in sheet, which should be linked in the chat. Let me just put it in there again for everybody. Is Joe Alexander here? He hasn't appeared, right? So Joe is usually our
Antonia.
parliamentarian. Yeah.
So it turns out that Joe is not coming. He's out of the country. Remember, we received that email earlier in the week, and it was a question about what date it was that he was actually talking about. So it turns out it's today.
Okay.
So we don't have a parliamentarian right now. Are any of our CEC members interested or willing to take over this evening's parliamentarian role?
I can just do it because I have the information in front of me if nobody else wants to do it.
Okay, why don't you start off with the public comment protocol, and we'll see if we can get our former parliamentarian of our town hall, Nakia, to do it.
Okay, all right. So
Happy to.
effective August 13th, Governor Kathy Hochul signed Executive Order 11-8, extending virtual access to public meetings under New York State's Open Meetings Law, which allows New Yorkers to virtually participate in local government meetings until the state of emergency for COVID expires. As a result of these recent amendments to the Open Meetings Law, citywide and community education councils can continue to hold virtual and/or hybrid meetings until August 13th, 2022. After that date, councils will no longer be able to hold fully remote meetings, but may choose to hold hybrid meetings provided certain requirements are satisfied. Tonight's meeting is taking place remotely and will include a public comment period so that we may allow for additional feedback from our families and school community members. You may leave your camera on, or for your own privacy, if you prefer, you may use audio only during the comment period and throughout the meeting. The rules of engagement are: when you comment, please respect the privacy of others. Please do not include the names of children or staff. Guests who make inappropriate comments will be removed from the meeting. During the public comment period, you may add comments to the chat or raise your hand to speak. Speakers will be called on one at a time and will be allowed 1 minute each for comment. We will hear as many speakers as the time allows. It is possible that not every question will be given time, so the best way to get your questions answered is always to write to cec15@schools.nyc.gov. And I will turn that over to the president.
Thank you so much. And Nakia and I have been chatting, and she is going to take over for Joe this evening. So thank you so much. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Camille Casaretti, the president of CEC15, and we are grateful for your time and for making space for these important conversations during this lovely summer evening. I want to wish everyone well, and I hope you are staying safe as the pandemic is still with us and numbers are going up. Please continue to wear a mask for a friend. I want to start out with a few words of gratitude and thanks for Superintendent Anita Scopp, who left a legacy that we will be upholding in District 15. Anita led with kindness and love, changing hearts and minds with every person she touched. This extraordinary woman developed and created much of the equity work that District 15 has been known for. Our district will continue in this path, learning about each other, supporting each other, centering children, and always our historically underrepresented families. The CEC vision statement was a collaborative effort that was inspired by Superintendent Scopp's exceptional work and her philosophy on life. We're lucky to still have access to her as she moves into a new role at the DOE, serving others as best she served District 15 families. So I want to just share our CEC15 vision statement that you can find on the cecd15.org website. I will just read it aloud. CEC15 is dedicated to a meaningful, innovative, and inclusive way of educating children that allows students to thrive in every aspect of their enriched academic, social, and emotional growth. Our collaborative, successful, and high-achieving schools embrace diversity in every form and encourage each of our students to explore their interests in finding and nurturing their many hidden talents. In partnership with families, our school leaders and educators help our children and young adults find their voice, build self-confidence, and develop their ability to become independent thinkers and productive, caring people responsible for shaping an equitable society. We believe that every child has an innate capacity to love learning, is filled with possibility, and has the potential for greatness. We are committed to supporting that greatness. We invite all members of our school communities to partner with us in making this vision a reality. I read this a few months ago. It might have been 6 months ago now, but I think it's important that we keep returning to this vision statement to guide our work. And in planning for the 22-23 school year, a calendar is now posted on the CEC15 website with all of our monthly meeting dates. Please save these dates, share them with your schools, plan to participate fully as so many people are here this evening. Everyone is welcome. I am very happy to announce that we're planning a joint town hall with 3 of our community boards, CB2, CB6, and CB7, and I believe a few of them are on the call right now. Thank you so much for being here. This joint town hall is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, September 27th at 6:30. And because many of our students are attending schools outside of their community board zone, we thought it would make sense to just have all 3 community boards come together and listen to the voice of our community around education goals and whatever needs that we have. So I hope you'll join us and please share this information. Another save the date is for the CPAC General Membership Meeting on August 11th at 9:30 a.m. You can watch the live stream of the Chancellor's Parent Advisory Council on their YouTube website. And I would just ask if somebody could drop that in the chat, please. August's theme is students in temporary housing, and a continuation of safety concerns that they were speaking of at the last meeting. This council is made up of the presidents of each district, so the president's council presidents, all of whom are elected parent leaders. The chancellor is typically at this meeting, and you'll have an opportunity to sort of be a fly on the wall to conversations that are happening in the moment. We are also going to be having our August CEC meeting on the 23rd of August. So for an invitation coming soon. And we're hoping to have a fall meet and greet event with elected officials, principals, our new PTA executive boards, and our new superintendent. Congratulations to all those who made this enormous commitment as the parent representatives of our district schools. And to our children, we really appreciate all of the people who put their hand up, ran for a PTA or PA seat, leading committees, and especially our school leadership team members. As representatives of this district, there's a lot of advocating to be done. Much of our work happens here through resolutions. And we are grateful to the many people on the ground on this call who have helped us to craft these documents. Some you'll see this evening. And thank you so much for sharing your stories and helping us to help you. It's really important that you continue staying in touch, sharing your experiences in schools and letting us know what's happening through your eyes. There are a lot of changes to the education law recently. We spoke about a few of them at our last, at the June CEC meeting, but one that had not been mentioned was a loophole that we discovered and brought to Senator Liu's attention regarding the change to the definition of an existing school building. This may seem very minor to a lot of people, but because of this loophole, charter schools can actually take space in a new school with no regard for public hearings. So in an effort to promote transparency and community engagement, we are demanding that this loophole be closed. With so many new buildings coming online in District 15 and throughout New York City, we cannot have our plans changed in the months prior to a new school opening. We hope you'll support this change in the law and call your senators and assembly people and let them know that this needs to be closed. As many of you know, there was a rally at Tweed yesterday to restore the budget cuts. Mayor has until August 1st to restore funds, and right now doesn't seem to want to budge. So we need your voice, we need your advocacy to help fund our schools now, not in the middle of the year. Forcing principals to make critical spending decisions in the final hour without access to their school leadership teams is a total outrage. This is literally the opposite of what any school community would want, and it's all because of mayoral control. So we have drafted a letter to Mayor Adams, which we will share now, if somebody could drop it in the chat, and review again at our business meeting, where I would like to call a vote on this letter. I want to thank Council Member Wessler, who I saw on the call. I hope he's still here. Thank you so much for leading the rally yesterday. We appreciate you and all of the work you're doing to elevate this issue, along with Council Member Hanif. I'm not sure if she's here, but I want to just let everybody know that there will be a parent forum on Thursday night at the Carroll Gardens Library. Everyone is welcome to attend, whether you're a parent or not. If you care about our public schools, please have your voice heard. The meeting's going to be in person at the Carroll Gardens Library from 6 to 7:30. Everyone is invited to attend. CM Hanif will be letting us know what the fastest way to have our voices heard on this issue is, but not let that deter you from writing and calling the mayor directly. You know how to do this work. There is also a panel for education policy meeting tomorrow night. That is going to be remote, starting at 6 p.m., but the speaker sign up starts at 5:30 and it ends pretty quickly. So you could speak to the director, you can speak directly to the chancellor in this space, and we hope that everyone is going to show up to do just that. One of our Queens CEC leaders put it best this morning: mayoral control creates incentives to make voters think that the mayor is fixing everything, even when the mayor doesn't have the power to fix everything. A just fair student funding formula would likely show that the system needs more money, and mayors aren't likely to let that happen. So please continue speaking up and speaking out until we #end mayoral control. We need to continue to speak out and have our voices heard. So I thank you all for being here this evening. That is the end of Answer Them. Otherwise, I will hand the floor over to our new superintendent, Rafael Alvarez. Welcome.
Thank you, President Casaretti, and all CC members, including the community, school leaders who I see are on as well, and community leadership across the district. Nicole, if you want to put the PowerPoint. First, I want to echo the CEC statement about the legacy of Superintendent Anita Scott. I'm in regular communication with her, and I want to thank her for leading such a wonderful district and the way that she has always led. I learned from her over the years, and I continue to work with her alongside. I'm going to start off by really sharing a little bit of my commitment. Can everyone hear me? Okay. I just wanted to share a little bit about my commitment to the community. I'm really thinking about how we collaborate with all stakeholders to engage in a shared decision-making process. I really want to think about how I'm building the trust and open lines of communication. I want to be as transparent as I possibly can with not only the CEC, but the community at large. I'm looking to really address disproportionate outcomes to ensure that all students are learning at high levels. I really want to go into deepening the cultural responsive practices across the district, focusing on student voice, inquiry, and project-based learning that leads to SEM. Support teachers and leaders in cultivating anti-racist, equitable, and inclusive practices, policies, and systems and structures. I think it's also important that we celebrate and share successes using an asset-based approach and not a deficit-based approach. And most importantly, I really want to engage and foster family leadership through equitable shared decision-making and transparency, as I stated before. And so those are my commitments to the community. I hope you saw that in the welcome letter that I tried to translate, get translated in all the main languages of the district. It was my intent to reach out and far beyond so that families are receiving the languages right then and there as opposed to days later. Next slide. I wanted to talk about building our team and capacity as we look at how we're moving the work across the district. We're thinking about how the team is growing in the district, and as of right now, we are slated to have an additional 15 staff members. Those staff include academic policy, performance, and assessment specialist, an academic response team specialist, an administrative support associate, an administrator of special ed, a data manager, an L service administrator, 3 instructional leads, a student service manager, a supervisor of school social work. Right now on our team, and you'll see her in the chat somewhere, we have Deirdre Keys, who was a former assistant principal and teacher in District 15, former principal in District 22, who's now been assigned to our team as the Executive Director of Student Services and Operations, and she'll be supporting our team from an instructional and operational aspect. But more importantly, the committees that have already existed, the MLL team, special ed team, crisis team, instructional and professional development teams, our equity team, the Equity Congress and Youth Congress that exist. We're looking at streamlining how we support schools and thinking about district points so that each school has somebody directly at the district office that they can constantly and consistently communicate with over time. We're looking at developing a principals and AP advisory committee where these committees are elected by the constituency that they serve to advise us on what professional development looks like for them and how that work is going to look like at how we provide professional development to each other as school leaders. Thinking about an assistant principal pipeline institute so that we're developing from within District 15 to hire our next leaders across the district. Creating committee structures where we're going to continue a lot of the work that has already existed and thinking about how we bring in more people in the community. For example, we have some parents engaged in the conversations. I want to empower parents to help make those decisions, but also adding community members who also support the district across the different communities within the district to support some of those decision making. We want student leadership opportunities where students are helping us think about what should the curriculum look like? How do we make changes? Creating a district-wide student government so that the students through the Youth Congress will support in the leadership decisions that are happening that are impacting their learning as we go forward. We want to create more district-wide events, carnivals that are selected across the different district line, the different areas of the district in terms of neighborhood lines, but also thinking about, for example, urban debate league, where students are engaged in debating each other, and different activities like science fairs or STEAM expos, where we're celebrating the successes across all of our schools, as all of our schools are very unique. We want to continue to push the work of the equity and youth congresses. We want to continue the work of the peer professional leadership program, which are teacher mentors that's supported by our teacher development and evaluation coach. We want to definitely continue the participatory action research, the PAR that has existed in terms of thinking about the diversity plan, the support and what the communities want. And we're going to be bringing that up shortly so that Principal Emily Shapiro of 958 can discuss a little bit about what's been going on there and continue to that. And I want to increase CECs and DLTs shared decision making and how we run and operate as a district holistically, not just engaging, but empowering and helping make many of those decisions that we're going to make that support and impact the schools within the different communities across our district. But I also want to expand those lines so that there's representation from every neighborhood within the district so that all voices are heard, even those that are not necessarily as vocal as others. Next slide. Here's the District 15 vision. I want us to really think about what does this vision look like post-pandemic, thinking of the more concise ways that holding true to its original purpose here, but including what it looks like today post-pandemic. We want to engage all the stakeholders with input on what this vision is going to mean for all of our District 15 communities as we continue. And I thank the CEC president for sharing the vision of CEC15 so that we can then align how does that CEC15 vision fall into District 15's vision, because we should be unified together with the same message. And I love the words that I've already seen in her reading of the CEC's vision. I know that there's some things that we want to be aware of. And so the next slide really shares the different sites that we have for Summer Rising. And I want to shout out the principals in charge and the assistant principals in charge who through difficult situations have made amazing things happen. And I'm going to share some of those amazing things that have been actually happening. And these are the leaders that have been supporting. And in the Summer Rising updates, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the supports that we've been providing as a district, giving a little bit of an attendance snapshot, and then really some instructional program highlights. As you can see here, PS 146 and 32, shout out to the work that they've been doing. You can see some STEAM STEM work. You can see school enrichment models happening in our summer sites. You can see students engaged, but more importantly, you can also see the leaders engaged in this process collectively. Next slide. Our total enrollment for the summer across the district by school are listed here. What you will also see is that we have over 3,500 students enrolled in our Summer Rising program. Those are not all mandated students. Those are students who have wanted to participate, non-mandated and mandated collectively. You could see through the pictures coming up at, for example, PS24 Summer Rising site, where students are engaging and collaborating with each other and participating in different activities, including murals and things that have been developed at the school level. In the next slide, you can see where PS94's summer highlights have been, where there's a playroom. They're engaged in STEAM, reading activities, research, writing, and technology, and math projects that students are working on collectively across the school with the multiple sites there, which I have visited a few sites already. In the next slide, you'll see at PS 130 some of the things and how students are being engaged in their classrooms throughout this particular summer. At this point, I want to pass it over to Emily Shapiro, our fearless leader at PS 958, and her Sunset Park PAR process. Emily?
Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you all and nice to be here. Thank you for introducing me. So I did have a chance to be a part of the PAR process this year, and it was an incredible experience and also an amazing opportunity to get to know the community and hear every week kind of, you know, what the families in Sunset Park are looking for. And so in addition to the design team, this was a great way for me to incorporate feedback from the community. But I'm here tonight to just give you a little update. I know I was with you all in February and I shared our plans. And so I wanted to just let you know kind of where we are at. And I know there's one big question on everybody's mind that's not in the slide. And we do have written confirmation that the building will be ready in September and will be in August. Today I had a chance to pass by and they were putting doors on in the front and the doors on the back are there. So I've been getting that question a lot and we are opening in September. We will be in our building. But I wanted to share just a little bit about our enrollment so far, what we're still working on, and kind of go back to what we had discussed in February and kind of show where we're at. So we're still opening with our 3K SCIS class, which stands for Special Class Integrated Setting, which opens with 15 students, 2 teachers, which is a general education teacher and a special education teacher, and 2 paraprofessionals. Currently, all of the general education seats are full, and we're currently enrolling students for the special education seats with the CPSE team.
we had to fight really hard for our pre-K, but it was finally added last week. And so we're going to have one pre-K class, which is general education, 18 students, one teacher, and one paraprofessional. And currently we have an integrated co-teaching class for our kindergarten, which has 17 students enrolled. Our general education seats are taken, and there are just a couple of special education seats available still in that class. And we, due to community need, opened a 12 to 1-to-1 class, which was not in our original plans. But as I was working through enrollment for kindergarten, there was a huge need for additional 12 to 1-to-1 classes in the community. And so that class is full, and probably with a couple of families who will have to, look for other sites in the neighborhood, and full with students who live in the community who are really looking for that support. So I think it was a really good decision in terms of meeting the needs of the students in the community. And what we're still working on, and I think maybe even tomorrow, we'll be able to confirm that we'll be adding the AIMS program, which stands for Acquisition Integrated Service, Meaningful Communication and Social Skills. And I've spoken about that in the past. That's a very intensive program for students with a diagnosis of autism. It's 6 students in a class, a teacher and a full-time speech therapist, a paraprofessional, and that program also comes with a board certified behavior analyst who can support. So we're doing really well with our enrollment, and most of what we had planned for is coming to fruition. You can go to the next slide. And, when we met originally, I spoke a lot about the types of supports that we wanted to fold in to make sure that the school was really universally designed. And so I'm really happy because I feel that we are achieving that and maybe exceeding what I had anticipated. So already we've hired all of our classroom teachers, we've hired the majority of our paraprofessionals, and we're working on selecting related service providers now, and I'm working with all of the supervisors from the various offices. 50% of our teachers already have Orton Gillingham training, and I'm working on getting the rest trained. We're going to be fully staffed with our related service providers for opening day. And what's super extra exciting is that we were selected to be a part of a pilot program called the Workload Model. What that means is that in addition to our providers who are going to meet the mandated services on students' IEPs, we're going to have a speech therapist and an occupational therapist who have additional time in their schedule just to support and push into classrooms without it being specific to an individual student. And that's a real dream in terms of collaboration and building that knowledge and expertise within the classroom and within the school, because they're going to have time in their day to think about what's best for all of the students, to think about how we could universally design our classrooms, what supports we need to put in place across the board, as opposed to only having the opportunity to service individual students. So while we may have only been mandated for one speech provider, we may end up with 3, definitely 2, which is a huge resource for our school. And even though not all of the teachers need to be dual certified, 6 of the 7 currently are, including our physical education teacher, and 100% of the teachers have experience working with students with special needs. 2 of the teachers are ABA therapists. We have our English as a new language teacher, and we have a really small student to staff ratio, and for 4 to 1, I think is being generous. I think it might be 3 to 1 when all is said and done. And so that's going to allow for the flexible grouping that I talked a lot about when we were thinking about the instruction. We have our sensory gym, and I've been able to work with Fun and Function to purchase a lot of really amazing materials for that space. And all of the paraprofessionals we've hired currently have experience as well. Nicole, you could go to the next slide. So really, in terms of our instructional plan, nothing has really changed from what I came and spoke about. We're going to definitely be engaging in student-driven project-based learning through the district equity grant. We're going to be able to get Reggio Emilia training for our 3K and pre-K teachers, and work with UDL CAST to really make sure that we are supporting across classrooms. I've already had a chance to work with GNR Consulting on developing really good co-teaching models to make sure that the teachers are collaborating and really strategically planning for all of the students in the classroom. And we're going to be definitely focusing on structured literacy. As I said, 50% of the teachers already have the OG training, and I'm working to get us to 100%. And like I said, because of that small staff to student ratio, we're definitely going to be able to continue with the flexible groupings and allow students to collaborate with peers who have the same interests and strengths, and across classrooms, across ability levels, across grade levels. And we're still planning for inclusive physical education and music classes, as well as the other times throughout the day where students are going to be collaborating with peers across classrooms. And in terms of community partnerships, we're still really planning to work with Uprose across the street. They still have their hydroponic garden that they are open to sharing with us, and planning to work with their youth team on climate justice. And we completed the 2 Trees grant with Greenwood Cemetery and Sunset Spark, and I'm hoping to hear back. I just reached out today regarding a partnership that we've created. As I said, we're going to be having a music program, and that's with education through music. So students will get at least 2, hopefully 3 days a week of music instruction. And Vision Futuro, Laura, I don't know if she's on the call, I didn't see her, and I are continuing to work together and have a lot of ideas, I think, about how we can use the extra space in the building to support families throughout the community. So that's my little update for you guys on where things are at. I think we're in really good shape. I'm very excited. I'm feeling great that we have a building entry date. And that's it. I'll stick around in case there are any questions at the end. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Principal Shapiro. And just to
Sure.
note that the Orton Gillingham program has also been supported in being able to get Principal Shapiro to get more people trained through the grant. The next slide, which is probably the biggest thing on most people's mind after this slide, is the school budgets and accessing. Hot topic, where are we? We're working with each school individually to try to determine their needs and provide support. I just want to give examples of how I've been trying to do that. So for example, at PS 124 on 4th Avenue, we know that Principal Interlandi has for the past 2 years trying to get a Bridging the Gap social worker. For whatever reason, they haven't been able to give it to her. We have been able to push through and get that service provided to her school, and she's now going to be receiving that service. Many school leaders have been reaching out to me about different things, and I've been meeting individually with each school to find out what the needs are and what the concerns are. And I'm trying to find multiple ways at trying to address the concerns, particularly because of the gap of the budget. While I can't guarantee that I'm going to be able to close all the gaps, I'm trying to close all the gaps where I can, collectively and collaboratively. And so those of you who aren't aware of me, I'm a fighter. So I'm going to continue to advocate for what this particular community is in need of, and I'll continue to advocate until it's provided. But while that's happening, there is an appeals process underway. And during that appeals process, many of the schools that have put in a request for appeal for additional funding are in the process of the appeals. Many of them, it looks like, in discussions with our HR director, Oakland, and our budget person for the district, that many of them will be approved. And so we're looking forward to that. While we're doing that, I'm trying to make connections with our elected officials to be able to get additional funding to provide other resources to our schools that provide for them to be able to have grants to do STEM and STEAM and many other projects. I can't just rely on this, as we know that city and state budgets have always been unreliable. I'm going to start working on a grants committee to really think about how do we get private grants and partnerships that will help us sustain a lot of the things that we've been having as schools long-term and beyond. And of course, we have the New York State grant partners that we consistently work with. If you could share the next slide. So currently under the Equity Grants Partners and Professional Development, the things in black are the things that the district has been doing in phase 1 and 2. Phase 3, which is coming up in this school year, are the things added in red. So if you will, some of the schools like Shapiro School are getting the Reggio Emilia and the Orton Gillingham support. And these are the additional programs that have been added to the actual grant while continuing the work that has been consistently happening. Just so that we know, in the next slide, our diversity plan impact and its next steps. We're going to continue to meet with school leaders, parents, and community partners to understand what the needs are collectively across the district. We're going to continue to analyze that demographic data about the enrollment trends and the district needs. We're going to expand the equity grant partners and professional development to more schools and other partnerships, as I shared before, which are establishing the new partners and programs. We're going to review recommendations from the actual diversity plan that was created in collaboration with the Community Education Council and the DLT to see how we continue to expand the District Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee as well. I want to go deeper and further, and I want to continue to engage in community participatory action research process with WXY and CUNY. You know, we're now in phase 3 of the diversity plan, and Superintendent Scott met with the team a couple of weeks ago and got the contract approved to continue the work with the community PAR process with WXY, with Chris and Adam, and CUNY Maddie Fox. We're going to continue to collaborate and eventually publish a final report with those recommendations that they collect from the community as a whole. And as a district, we're going to listen and follow up with the recommendations provided. Yes, we're going to look at the enrollment numbers to see if we hit that 52% goal with the free and reduced lunch, students in temporary housing, and ELs. And beyond this, we're going to be looking at culturally responsive practices, restorative justice practices, inclusive environment, and taking into account diversity trends for inclusivity of all student groups. And I want to make sure that we're clear on that. Lastly, I've been made known on the last slide that COVID health policies and procedures has been something that we wanted to be updated on. And so we're asking that we continue to wear masks when necessary. The DOE at this time is a recommendation that everyone age 2 and older wear a well-fitting mask in all public indoor settings, including at school, early childhood education programs, but they're not required. We encourage your children to wear a mask while in school and when gathering with friends. And your child's school has masks available for not only the students, but also the adults. We're encouraging getting vaccinated and boosted, and I'm not gonna read everything there. We encourage getting tested and consider other precautions. I know that there's gonna be an ask about data around our neighborhoods. I do have some data from a 7-day period, but I'll wait to see if there are any questions about that. I hope and want you to understand that I'm here to work alongside with you and not at you. So I've already started communicating with elected officials, with community leaders, as well as some CEC members. I've already met with Vincent Liu. I know some of you have been on vacation. I'm open and willing to meet with you whenever is convenient for you and where you would like for me to meet with you. I'm all about how do we do this process together. So I know that Vincent and I have already talked about looking at the Sunset Park section of Brooklyn and thinking about how do we reach out to the Chinese community over there and listen to their voices. One of the things that I'm going to be doing is doing a listening tour there with some of the community there. I'm going to allow them to speak in their native language as English is their second language. Therefore, I'm going to be translated to in English so that I can better help them understand that I respect the differences in culture and be a part of the process with them, but also to engage and hear what they have to say about what they like to see in their community. And I expect to do that alongside everyone else. I would also love to partner up with CEC members and visit with them, their respective schools, to think about how do we collaborate collectively about what we can do with our schools within the district to support the vision of CEC15, because my responsibility as a superintendent is to provide that customer service. And when you think about customer service, you think about how do you support those that you serve. And as a superintendent and a public figure, I see myself as serving the community and the community's needs. And so I want to continue to be a part of that process. And at that point, I'm just going to stop there for any questions and answers, or I'll pass it back to CEC to direct me where we go from here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Superintendent Alvarez, and welcome. And thank you, Emily, as well, for your presentation. I'm going to start by opening up the floor to the public for comments and questions. If you'd like to raise your hand. I saw that there was a question in the chat. If I believe it was Janet wants to come on, raise your hand. And you will have approximately 1 minute to leave a comment or ask a question. Anyone from the public would like to comment? Okay, I'm sorry about that. 2 minutes, not 1.
Hi, Mr. Alvarez. Thank you for joining District 15. I am a parent from Sunset Park, Brooklyn. My child is at PS 24. He is in the first Horizon program that was opened at PS 24. We advocated very hard for this program because there was no real program in Sunset Park to help support someone like my son. We felt that more of the programs to support children with autism were either in Park Slope or downtown Brooklyn and more affluent neighborhoods, now in lower income neighborhoods like the one in Sunset Park. Now, one of the biggest questions is, our children are going to enter 3rd grade. I see all these elementary schools opening. I see this focus on working on children with varying diagnoses. And I'm extremely happy that this is happening because it's going to help support more students in the neighborhood. But what's going to happen to these children once they graduate 5th grade? You know, we're concerned about middle school, where they're going to go to middle school. We are very proud of the diversity and inclusion model that D15 has, but we also don't feel that our children need to be in a whiter school to be in a better school. We feel that we can have our students in our neighborhood in their own backyards with the programs that are suitable for them. And they get to enjoy friendships in their own neighborhood, you know, get out of school, let's do something in the afternoon, go to the park, make friends. That's, you know, where the deficits are at, socialization. So if we eliminate the busing and we get these programs in their own neighborhoods, they are allowed to experience the things that any typical child going to their zone schools can. So that's one of our biggest concerns now as the first incoming Horizon students at PS 24. I am going to add that PS 24 is a phenomenal school. Ms. Diaz is amazing. The team is extremely supportive. And we want to stay in the neighborhood. We want to find a space as welcoming as PS 24, and the Horizon program at PS 24 really wants to work closely with you so we can find a space for our children where they're going to be happy and they're going to see students in the school building that they would normally see in the playgrounds.
Yeah, Janet, first and foremost, thank you for advocating for your child. It's great to see that you really are working towards ensuring that your child has equitable access. And I, for one, am in agreement. And I have already started working. I'm supposed to be meeting with Ms. Diaz either this week or next Tuesday to discuss some of these things that you're bringing up now. But I've also, and you heard Principal Shapiro, and then I'm meeting with Central Office Special Education with not only the Ames program, but thinking about what's going on with the Horizon programs and NEST programs, so that there's an extension within our district so that students can actually go within their particular communities in their schools. So I am heavily working on that. I will be sharing something with CEC shortly about some positive news that's going to be coming to District 15, but I don't want to be premature as I'm meeting with some of the electeds on Friday around this. Once it becomes available, I will share, and I'm really excited about it for our district. I am going to work with you. Please email me. I'm going to put my email here so that you can reach out directly to me and anyone else who needs to reach out directly to me. I can tell you that parents have already been reaching out to me, and I hope that parents are seeing that I'm responding very quickly. We have an amazing, talented family leadership coordinator and family support coordinator, Christine and Brenda, who are phenomenal. They get back to parents within the community very quickly and trying to resolve some of the issues. And so one of the things I just wanted to share, for example, we had some busing issues, and the DOE's policy is 5 to 7 days to rectify. Again, many of you are getting to know me, but 5 to 7 days is not enough when a parent has to figure out what to do for 5 to 7 days. We reduced that 5 to 7 days to 2 days. And that's because I will advocate on behalf of our school leaders on what the needs are, as well as for the parents across this district.
Thank you. We would like to have a meeting with you. I hope that's something that will happen in the near future. A few of us parents would love to sit down and speak with you. There's, some other issues within the district, nothing, major, but things that we are concerned about and that we would like to see in our community, because it's what our children are exposed to on a daily basis and what we think is fair and fit for them. So I
would encourage you to coordinate with Principal Diaz so that we can schedule time, and I'm more than happy to meet with you. One of the things that I'm doing across the summer is doing a listening tour, and I'm really trying to listen to what everybody is saying and think about what that means for the district collectively. So anyone who's looking to have conversations in small group, in partnerships with CEC, with your school leadership, with your school leadership team, with your PA, PTA, I'm more than happy to participate and listen, because part of my job is to listen. And I can't do anything unless I've heard. And so I'm looking forward to that work.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you. Thank you, Janet. Next, we have Megan. Please unmute.
Hi, good evening. It's nice to meet you, Mr. Alvarez. I'm a parent at PS32 in the NEST program. My daughter's in 4th grade there. I just wanted to, I appreciate your presentation, and I heard what you said about trying to work with schools that were losing funding under the new budget. But I don't know if you can speak specifically about PS32 in this context, but myself and I see one of our PTA co-presidents here, Lori Martin. Thanks, Lori, for being here. I think, we would love to hear more from you about how you could support specifically PS32 in, advocating for, a fair and equitable budget for our school. Because it's very concerning that we're losing a significant amount of money. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but enough to affect possibly the library program, an ASD Nest cluster teacher, as well as staffing of school aides, which keeps the school running. So thank you for being here, and I appreciate your thoughts on the budget issues.
Yeah, Megan, let's schedule some time for your PTA to meet with me so that we can discuss this with your principal and think about what's going on with the budget so that we could see how we can mitigate some of the circumstances.
Certainly, thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Do we have any more from the public? Any more comments or questions? I saw a comment from Suzanne. Would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Sure. I just wanted to know, in terms of the proposed budget cuts, how can we find out what is slated to be cut from a specific school? Is that all public information? Is that something you just call up your school and find out about? And I'm asking because I'm actually entering kindergarten and haven't fully decided where we're entering kindergarten. So trying to figure that out and concerned about all these budget cuts.
Yeah. Susan, thank you for bringing that up. There are multiple places where you can get the information. Some of the information is public. It doesn't detail exactly per salary or something like that, but it will show budget if you go on the school's website, schools.nyc.gov, and you look at Find My School. When you find My School, there should be a section in there where it talks about data. You're allowed to click on what the school's budget looks like, and you can compare that from year to year as to what it's been. school funding is allocated, it's very strange. New York City is very different in many regards, where it's allocated based on individual student. Now, each student has a weighted measure based on their needs. So if you're an L student, there's more weight to it. If you're an L with students with disabilities, you might have even additional weight to that, which is where the funding source comes for each individual student. Schools are not budgeted by the number, schools are not budgeted by individual school, but they're budgeted by the number of students that are within a school with the different needs. And that's how schools are allocated. So unfortunately, sometimes schools that are smaller have a harder time than schools that are larger. And it's going to be my job right now to figure out how do we mitigate some of those circumstances in supporting schools and figuring out how they leverage the resources that they have. I am aware that there are budget cuts in 15, and I just want to talk to this because I know this is a question that CEC had asked before. As of right now, it looks like there have been 21, well, let me correct myself, 11 staff members who have been approved for accessing, and 9 additional teachers and 1 community coordinator that are tentatively approved for accessing. So a total eventually of 21 staff members excess collectively in our 35 schools. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're all going to lose their positions. The DOE is required to give them accessing letters. I'm not happy about that. We're working on figuring out ways to get some of those staff back. The fortunate thing is that those staff members will have the first rights to return if funding is restored. I'm hoping that the mayor does make the decision to restore funding or find ways to restore funding with state support by August 1st so that school leaders can make changes to how things are being done in their schools.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Suzanne. Jane, would you like to come on?
Sure. Thank you. Welcome, Superintendent. It's nice to see your face. I have a question. First of all, I love problem solving. I think it's an amazing skill and it's something that is immensely valuable in education at large. And I really appreciate all of your talking points about possible workarounds, if we end up having to deal with these budget cuts. But I'm curious to know if you simply stand with us in our ask for the mayor to reverse these cuts. I think we talk so much about social and emotional development for children, but it's important for us adults as well. And I think knowing that you stand with us will be a nice emotional and social support for us. So
I'm here with you, Jane. I'm here with you. We need to do more for our students, particularly in our schools that have been historically underfunded for multiple reasons. So I'm here with you.
Okay, so is that get more money for certain schools or reverse the cuts?
No, I think we need to get fair funding for our schools.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jane. I don't see any hands. So I just want to check in with the interpreters, see if there are any community members with questions.
I just want to caution one thing. I know that we've been talking about the budgets and this happens every single year. One of the other issues is that there's a lot of appeals processes. With the DOEs losing students in our system from year to year to year, the register projections haven't been the same as they've been in previous years. And so what's happened is schools have been allocated funding based on the register projection. The register projections can go up, appeals processes can be approved. For example, I know of one particular school that's going to get their appeal approved and they're going to be able to bring back 2 of the staff members that they thought they had to access. And so that has to do with the number of students expected to be able to arrive in September. Also, budgets get adjusted over time as well, where schools may be able to go into a deficit and still come out with budgeting after the October 31st projected dates of the numbers of register projection.
Thank you. So let's check in with the interpreters. Mandarin, do you have any questions or comments on the line? Max?
No Chinese, the parent, or they have any further questions so far?
Okay, thank you. How about Spanish interpreters? Any questions or comments on the line?
There's no questions in the Spanish line.
Okay, thank you. And Arabic interpreters?
No questions so far on the Arabic room.
Okay, great, thank you. Rehan?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, nice to hear from you, Mr. Alvarez. And it was really great to see that, you know, a lot of what you spoke about shows that you have an appreciation for the hard work of this district. And I'm wondering, because we've heard the chancellor say a couple times now, and in particular during his announcement about the change in superintendency, that the plan is to take District 15 in a slightly different direction. And I'm wondering if you can clarify for us what the chancellor means by that.
And thank you for that candid question. I'm going to give you a very candid answer. I can't speak for what the chancellor meant by that. I myself hadn't heard it until after the fact that it came out in the article. What I can say is I cannot say what direction that is yet, because I haven't finished meeting with all the constituencies to see where we want to go as a district collectively. And for me, I can't answer that question for the chancellor, and I can't answer that question for myself yet, because I'm still in the process of understanding everything as it relates to the district and where the district would like to see itself go. I'm just somebody that helps steer that, but I don't make that decision in isolation. I never have, never will. I think that the most collaborative processes is what gets you further. And so for me, it's about, as time goes on, as we identify as a whole district where we want to go, then we'll know what that direction is. It may have been prematurely shared, but I don't see a response to that yet, because I don't even know where he's thinking that I'm going to take the direction. Does that make sense? For me, it's more of where do we see it collectively? And so I see myself as one voice, not the only voice.
Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, that's consistent with the way that we see this district, that it's definitely a collaboration. But in your talkings with, you know, your supervisor, you have not had any conversations about what that means, and if that was what that was intended to mean. That hasn't come up yet.
No, I haven't had that specific or any type of conversation in that matter.
Okay, well, keep us posted, because we're all very curious.
Thank you, Rehan. Can we have Javier come on, unmute? Javier has a question.
Sure. Hi, my name is Javier. I'm a parent at PS24, and also I work with the community organization Voces Ciudadanas. I just had a question in regards to, I heard about parent engagement and community engagement, and really my question is about how to build parent leadership, because that's been a challenge about getting underrepresented voices to be as active within all these decision makings, these vision makings. And I'm wondering what kind of, it's really hard for a community that maybe hasn't been engaged even on the local level to inform district-wide engagement and vision, and what kind of plans, and if the superintendent is open to partnering with an organization like Voces Ciudadanas with to work on that issue.
Yeah, thank you for your question. I look at meeting with the different constituencies across the district and really hearing their voice and going to where they are, where they're most comfortable with. As you heard, I was going to be going with Vincent Liu for the Asian community in the Sunset Park section. If you want to partner and have those conversations with the community, I'm more than happy to do so as well. One of the things I was able to do in my former district is to empower our parents by helping them get vendor licenses to be able to provide those trainings and supports to our schools. I allow them to tell me what were the professional trainings and supports they wanted as a district, and we made sure that we provided them the supports that they wanted. Sometimes it was for different communities within the district, and so that's something that's feasible to do as well. I'm looking to ensure that all voices are heard, so that when we're speaking as one entire district that has unification of the different neighborhoods and speaking in one voice, but to addressing all the needs of the different needs within the district. So have just to let you know, coordinate with Principal Diaz, who I believe is on tonight, so that I can meet with yourself and then eventually meet with Janet as well.
Sure, that would be great. That'd be great. So we'll email and follow up with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Javier. Do we have any more people from the community? Oh, here we are. Anna Maria, would you like to unmute?
Yes, hi, good evening. First of all, good evening, everyone. And I would like to welcome the new Superintendent Alvarez. I mean, change is always, exciting and at the same time scary, but I'm like what I'm hearing from the superintendent. I'm parent coordinator at PS24, and I'm also a parent of 2 boys at PS24, a kindergartner and a 3rd grader. My main focus as a parent coordinator is to listen to our families and to really understand what their needs are. I have learned to communicate and pretty much understand our parent body. I have created workshops in forms of conversational English, self-care. After a pandemic, a lot of our parents came back really having mental health issues has been a focus. And thanks to Ms. Diaz, we have been able to create these workshops for families. And I've been pretty much supporting, but I would like to know if it's possible as a district to really give our families this kind of support, especially in our lower income schools and parents that might not have the insurance that they need in order to get these things that they need to support their children. I mean, a parent cannot help their child if they don't have the tools. So I'm trying to see if we can do something as a district to continue to support our families. So therefore we can continue to support our kids and our children for a better future.
Anna, can I put this on you? Can you gather a few parent coordinators that can come together and advise on what we can do and help me steer that type of work?
Yes, I love that idea. Thank you.
Because I'm not going to have all the answers, but I know the answers are always in the room. And so having you a part of that, who's already aligned with those parents, I would love for PCs, but also some parents that want to be a part of this and thinking about how do we do this collectively.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anna Maria. At this time, I would like to open the floor to CEC members. If anyone would like to come on. Antonia.
Hi, Superintendent Alvarez. Welcome to CEC15's first meeting with you. I am glad to hear of your collaborative spirit and your commitment to the D15 diversity plan. I really look forward to that report from WXY and meeting with you and WXY in whatever capacity you've outlined. My question is, I know you were recently at a conference about STEM, and what can District 15 expect to garner from that conference?
Thank you for bringing that, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So I was at the conference to present, just so that you're aware, prior to going to the conference, District 7 had a partnership with the NAACP. And the NAACP during the pandemic had provided over 500 laptops to the students in District 7. They also partnered with us to get T-Mobile to provide 2,500 Wi-Fi hotspots for students for up to 5 years without having to pay. In addition to that, as soon as remote learning happened, I knew that it was critical that we moved into project-based learning. And one of the things that they did was they provided us through ALP and through Dell Technologies free professional development that was tailored to the district based on the district's needs for teachers and parents. And so they provided professional development to teachers and parents on how to utilize the resources that were provided to do project-based learning in their classrooms, across the school, and even at home with their parents. And so I was there to present that information. What I got from the conference was how we have to really think about what those jobs are going to be for the future. And one of the reports that came out showed that many of the jobs that we're preparing our children for today are not going to be the jobs that they're going to need by 2030 and even 2040. And so we talked about how do we start integrating STEAM and STEM into our schools, not as an isolated period where they're doing STEAM and STEM work, but how do we thematically include that content into the units of study that schools are already working on, so that it's really looking at real life world problems and addressing them from all these aspects, as opposed to saying we're going to do this in math class, but do this in social studies class, and thinking about how do those intertwine and work together to resolve particular issues that we face as a society. And so my hope was to continue to not only get information like that, but also bring it back and thinking about options for what we look at when we talk about school-wide enrichment model, which comes from Renzulli, but expands through project-based learning, through STEM and STEAM, and how do we integrate that across the district. Being that District 15 is a very unique district where every school has its uniqueness in different ways, sometimes it can be difficult in thinking about saying this is going to be the model for every single school. But what are multiple models that address the same target that we're trying to reach, which is ensuring that we have enrichment in our schools, giving schools the flexibility and opportunity to think about what that looks like, because different schools are going to be at different places as it relates to going that direction. I hope that clarified and kind of gave an understanding. And I'm just going to note, because it's always an elephant in the room, the article wasn't completely accurate. I have a conflict of interest document that was signed and approved, where the budget for me to go was actually sponsored by the NAACP and not the DOE. So not one penny for my conference, I can't speak for anyone else, but for my conference was paid for by Department of Ed. It was paid for by the NAACP.
Thank you.
Thank you, Antonia, for your question. Hi, Nana.
Hi, thank you, Nakia. Good evening, Superintendent Alvarez, and echoing everybody, I'm very encouraged on what I'm hearing this evening with your words of collaboration. So I'm just kind of looking forward working with you in the next years, in the next several months. I am the IEP rep, and one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was special education. Talking to schools, there's been some challenge with special education in terms of lack of special educating teachers. I just wanted to hear from you your vision for that and how we can be able to improve special education for our children, if you've had any discussion on that. I appreciate it.
Thank you for that question. So one of the things I was able to do in my former district is to actually create partnerships with the local universities and colleges within and close to the district. And the goal was to work with teachers in the particular programs and having them start their student teaching work within our district so that that can lead to them working in our schools. The other thing I think is that we wait too late to get students interested. We should be thinking about our high school students who are looking to go into education programs and thinking about how do we utilize the students already within the community who are going to education programs and keeping those partnerships in advance so that we can work with them and they can work in our schools collectively as they're going to school. And in that case, we can then expand the number of teachers that would be within those licensed areas to support the work in our schools. I'm looking to partner more with Men Teach program, as well as some of the other programs that exist to help recruit special education teachers. As of right now, many schools have sent me some requests for special ed teachers, and I've been able to provide them with a few resumes of different people and partnerships that I've had in the past. I've been able to send them some resumes in hopes to reducing the number of special ed teacher need across our district.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nana. I have time for one more question or comment before we end this portion. Rehan?
Just wondering if I can amplify Katie Vitale's question that was in the chat, because I was interested in hearing the response to it too, because it was very interesting about grading and about equitable grading. She mentioned Joe Feldman's book about grading for equity. Should I read it? Because I think Katie can't get on the mic.
Sure, yeah.
She doesn't want to get on the mic, actually.
What's that?
Yeah, she doesn't want to get on the mic, so I'm just going to read
Yeah.
the question. If you guys
You can read it, yeah. She says, are you considering any work around more equitable grading policies across the district? For example, the work with Joe Feldman, partnerships with the Mastery Collaborative on a larger scale across District 15.
I'm glad you brought that up. I wasn't going to bring this up until later on in September as I do more homework. I've been in connection with the Associate Commissioner of the state of New York, Dr. Alston. I've talked to Chancellor Banks about this particular aspect, and I've spoken to some people from the consortium. For those of you who don't know, the consortium are consortium schools that work on project-based assessments. They're called PBATs. As opposed to taking those Regents exams, with the exception of the ELA, they take project-based assessments that are aligned to mastery of a standard. I've toyed with the idea, since we do have a relatively lower participation rate with standardized state assessments, and I understand why, of the idea of how do we go about creating project-based assessments in grades 3 through 8 so that students are assessed based on mastery of standards through projects, as opposed through a 1-day or 2-day or 3-day test where they're put under a lot of pressure, where they may know the answers, but the questions seem tricky enough not to support them in what they really think is the answer, and vice versa. And so I am working on that. Rian, if you wouldn't mind also being able to be one of those members who wants to participate in supporting me and figuring out how do we go about with that approach. I've been in contact with the Deputy Chancellor for Teaching and Learning, Carolyn Quintana, and toying with this idea. And we've involved Jennifer Yonkers at thinking about what could this look like, and could we eventually get approval from the Commissioner of the State of New York to be able to do this. Currently, right now, the consortium schools got a 5-year extension to continue this work because they've seen a lot of promise with the results for the students who have gone on to college and readiness. So I would love to see if we can at least, I want 3 to 8, I'm very ambitious, but let's at least look at what 6 through 8 might look like and see what that looks like and be the pioneers of changing what assessing our students looks like.
Yeah, that sounds great. There are 2 schools that I know of in District 15 that are using this kind of program already. One is a consortium school, Brooklyn Collaborative, and the other is an elementary school, Brooklyn New School, that has been experimenting with doing project-based evaluation assessment, and some of the leaders of that school are on this call tonight. So, but it wasn't my question, it was Katie's. I would be happy to support also, but it seems like Katie should also be into that.
Katie, we want you on this team as well, so we can have the 2 of you. That's a start. I remember the Brooklyn New School when Carmen Farina was chancellor, superintendent, And I'm not sure if a lot of you remember, but the Teachers of American History grant, Linda Harris used to run that. I was one of those teachers who worked with the Brooklyn New School in creating some of the social studies curriculum units that were similar to that. And they were actually utilized and eventually turned into what we call today as Passport.
Great, sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks again, Rayhan. So it looks like we're going to have to conclude this portion of the meeting. I want to thank Superintendent Alvarez again for being here, for your presentation and all of the answers to these very important questions. And thank you to the community members for coming on and sharing. So Camille or Antonia, what shall we do at this point?
So we have to officially close the calendar meeting. Let's call for an adjournment at 8:02. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Superintendent Alvarez. If we want to take a short break, we can do that right now. Does anybody want to do that, or just roll right into the next business meeting? And also, could we check with the interpretation team to see if there are still people on the call? Otherwise, we could dismiss of them.
President Casarati, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Because I know each district runs differently. Do you need me to be with you at the business meeting? Would you like me to stay? Each CEC runs differently, so I just want to know from you as the president, what would you like me to do?
It's really up to you. The legal requirement is the calendar meeting.
Okay. I'll let everyone work on their business then.
Yeah. Any interpreters? Let me just check in quickly. Any questions from the Mandarin line? Yes.
You don't think? Do you think it's Carlina? It's over?
I think
if she fucks up her times interview.
Mute Lincoln Wrestler. So there's only attendance on the Arabic line. Is that any questions or comments there?
No questions for the Arabic so far.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you all so much. I will hand it right back over to Camille.
And I will hand it over to Antonia.
Okay, then I'm going to call the business meeting to order at 8:04 unless people want that break. Did y'all want a 5-minute break?
I need it, yes, please.
Yes, okay, all right. So we will just press pause on this meeting for 5 minutes, and I will leave the Zoom open, and everyone can just put themselves on mute and stop their videos, and then we will come back at 8:10. How about that?
Excellent. Thank you.
Right.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Everyone, it is 8:10 and just want to make sure that everybody knows that this is going to be the start of our CEC 15 business meeting. Just want to make sure that everybody on our council has returned. So we'll start with roll call. Antonia, do you want to start the roll? You're on mute.
Sorry. We're calling this meeting to order at 8:12, I guess. And Camille Cazzaretti, are you here?
Present.
Antonia Ferraro, yes, I'm present. Tia Shellsteed. I don't even see if she's in the. Oh, I see her at the bottom. Tia, are you here? Vincent Liu.
Present.
Nana Poku Ajakum.
Present.
Alfred DeAngelis.
Present.
Joseph Alexander. No, he's absent. And Ivan Banda is in Mexico. And Nancy Randall, I believe she is on a plane and she is absent as well. Vanessa Gonzalez Uroka.
I'm present.
Okay. And Nakia Muhasa Brown.
I'm present.
All right. We do not have any minutes yet to go over.
Actually, I thought Tia said she was gonna have something.
She did, but I didn't have a chance to review them. I didn't have a chance to send them out to anybody. I got them like an hour before our meeting, so.
Oh, okay. So then
we have to
share them and review them for the next meeting.
Sorry, Antonia.
Yeah.
Stephen has left a message in the chat to dismiss Mandarin and Spanish because we don't have any attendees there.
Yeah, I guess it's okay to excuse them, to dismiss them.
Okay. So it looks like Mandarin interpreters and the Spanish interpreters free to enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank
you. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Antonia, Tia's texting me that she's here, but I don't
She's
know.
here.
Maybe
Okay,
she's
so
having
I
trouble with
will
her volume.
her connection. Okay, so I will mark her as present. All right, so Camille, do you want to talk about the budget?
I think we should hand it over to Alfred. He's the treasurer.
Okay.
I don't believe we made any expenditures since the last time, have we?
We need to vote on a new budget for a new year.
I don't have one. I don't know. I'm gonna have to work on that. Can we do that another time?
We could, but we're not really. Steve, could you come on the call and just explain what the procedure is? Are we allowed to spend any of the money before we have a budget vote?
No, you have to vote. Excuse me, I was eating something. You have to vote to open the budget and put money on your budget lines before you're able to spend your money.
So we received an email with a sample budget Is that something we could use?
Yeah, because you can always change it until next March, right?
Right.
So, yeah, you can do a generic budget right now, just so the funds are released, so you'd be able to access them. And then at the next meeting, you can make edits.
Do you want me to put up on the screen the last budget? And then we can mull it over?
So we had that issue with the last budget because the DOE did not approve our money to share with district for books. So Steve, how does this work? Because we don't even have an official ending budget from June.
Last year.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the 15 for this term. That's a good question, though. I wasn't aware that that money wasn't approved. If you want, I could talk to Linda, the SGO, about it tomorrow, kind of see where everything's at. So I have to talk to her about a few other things anyway.
Okay, so that's for the old one, but for the new one, so we have every CEC has a $25,000 a year budget, but because we set aside $10,000 for our administrative assistant salary, that comes out of our budget. So we have 15,000 to work with. Typically, a CEC budget is heavy on member reimbursements and meeting expenses because we still don't really have an idea about when we are going to be back in person. I'm not sure what to do here. We could just duplicate, in a sense, what we had before.
I would propose that you significantly reduce the amount in parent workshops and student presentations and move that money into equipment and office supplies, because we are going to go back in person. And I think $8,000 worth of these presentations it's just not where I just don't think that's where the money should be.
And technology wise, what do you see that as, like a swivel? And I mean, if we're mandated to do this, then the DOE should be providing that.
Yeah, I mean, you had other districts in which their borough president bought them an owl, which I know cost about $1,000. I don't know if our borough president has any intentions of doing anything like that, but I could see us needing technology equipment and office supplies and more money.
What if we just start out with like 5,000 member reimbursement, 5,000 office supplies, 5,000 TAC?
You need money on your P card because we're going to go back.
We can't use the P card in this moment.
In this moment, we can't.
We're not going to be able to.
You can't have a P card really until you have a AA.
So you
the P card's
cannot
put in an
budget. You cannot budget for that. You can't pass a budget for that.
We can budget, but we can't use that money.
Yeah, it's just
So
sitting
we'll
there.
have to pass another budget if and when we hire an AA.
Yeah.
We're going to be passing multiple budgets anyway. Right now, it's just so that something goes into the computer at the DOE and we can function.
So any food that we have to buy for in-person meetings is a member
We
reimbursement?
won't be able to submit for reimbursement until the budget is passed.
But what I'm saying is, where should that food money live?
Oh, you can make a food line if you wanted. You just have
We
to
would
go
just-
through the procurement process. Yeah.
It would just write it the same way, member reimbursement and meeting expenses.
Okay. So maybe you need more money in that line.
It's just this 1 month.
Why?
Just to like get it into the computer.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a placeholder just to make sure the money's released from the full, like wherever it sits right now, into your actual budget. Because you don't have access to any of the money currently until something is passed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I still think you should move money into equipment and
So, but 5,000 for equipment, 5,000 for office supplies, and 5,000 for member reimbursement / meeting expenses.
so, okay, so we're doing 5,000 for equipment.
You don't have to change this right now. They
Oh.
don't actually need a resolution. We were just doing that for our own purposes. They only need minutes approved with details. Right, Steve?
Yeah, and attendance for the meeting. That's what they'll need.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. I'm not following. We are not editing this budget.
Don't touch that.
Okay.
They just need to do a vote on it, and we'll get them, and then we'll need to get the attendance for this meeting. So however we want to give it to them.
And is it, you said it's just for this month, so we have to revisit it next month?
Yeah.
Well, it would be the real budget.
Yeah.
We can change it whenever we want, as often as we want, until beginning of March.
Okay. You want to make a motion to vote on it? Or?
Okay. All right, I'm gonna stop.
I'll write something in the chat here, just so we have like a written record. Does anybody else have anything they want to propose before we start moving forward with this idea?
I just want a clarification. So the equipment, are we going to leave it? You said we're going to leave it as 500 for equipment, and we can vote on it again in March. I think I'm a bit confused about that.
No, we can vote as frequently as we want to.
Okay. Okay.
But what are we voting on right now? I think that's where.
Get in the chat.
Yeah, because I know
That's
that there's going to be an in-person meeting, and we're definitely going to need some equipment. So that, like Antonio said, that line, is going to be necessary for the next month, the next meeting also. And 500 is not going to be enough.
So
It's 5,000.
The motion.
Oh, it's 5,000 now? I
is-
saw 500. Okay, 5,000. Okay, that's fine.
The motion is to budget 5,000 for member, I'm trying to write all this down in the minutes. Disbursements. 5,000. Office supplies. 5,000 technology. And then nothing else.
Now.
And then we're gonna amend this along the way? Right.
It's just to get it in the system to register.
Exactly. It takes a while to get it in the system, but it isn't as much of a drama to just move line, I think.
Once it's there, yeah. Okay, can we make a motion now, or do we have more to add?
Nope, you can make a motion.
Okay, I make a motion to vote on this budget. 1 second.
Second it.
Nana, second.
Okay.
Okay, so roll call vote.
All right, Camille.
I vote yes.
Antonia, yes. Tia? I guess she can't respond. Vincent?
Vincent said yes in the chat. I don't know if he can respond. He said I'm fine with that in the chat.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Nana?
Yes.
Alfred?
Yes.
Joseph is not here. Absent. Okay, Yvonne Bond is absent. Nancy is absent at this moment. Vanessa?
I vote yes.
And Nakia.
Yes.
Okay. Now we're on to school liaison assignments.
And Tony, was that 6 votes without Tia?
Oh, let's count them up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 votes.
Okay,
Yes.
just wanted to double check.
All right. So we've approved a temporary budget. All right. Camille,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
we're on to school liaisons.
Okay, so for the school liaisons, what I would like to do is revise the school liaison page and add new schools onto our list. And so then we would, for example, the school that is going to be the annex to 516, which is the police precinct. Yvonne is the school liaison for 516, and he has already been in conversations, communication with school construction authority and sort of like keeping an eye on that. With Emily's school in Sunset Park, I've sort of been liaising with her about that. And all of the other schools who are going to have, they're like second building to an existing school. I just want to make sure everybody is good with following up on the construction projects and just making sure that they're being represented appropriately. So we're going to add Emily's school on there. And then I just wanted to ask, because usually we would switch schools at this time, but there's been so much change and chaos with budget and everything. I wanted to propose that unless somebody has a reason why they want to switch a school, that we might want to just remain with the schools that we have. And so I wanted to throw that out there and just ask your thoughts.
Camille, I agree. I mean, I would like to stay with the school that I'm liaising with. A few reasons. One is I agree, yes, a lot has happened, but also we have a few members that are not here today. I think this would be more effective if we had everyone here to actually do it. So maybe we could revisit this, changing it if everyone wants to do that.
I'm okay.
Any other, oh, Pia wrote in the chat, I vote yes.
I'm okay with revisiting this.
And also, sorry, that Tia wrote, I vote yes for the budget that came in a little earlier.
Oh, it's just 2 minutes ago. Okay.
It passed, and I think you kind of need to have the voice.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so then we'll just move that to the next business meeting. Is everybody okay with that?
I am.
And we'll do the edit of the document so then you can get a clearer vision of what's happening there. Okay, so old business. We need to do a bylaw amendment if we're going to be having hybrid meetings. And I know people want to have hybrid meetings. It's going to be a lot of work to make it work well. I think that we're up for the challenge. The DOE did actually send a template of sorts for hybrid, a resolution to pass. Does anybody have access to that right now? I thought Pia was going to be helping with that. Pia, you have that? I see you're having all these tech issues. Steve, do you have access to that? Are you able to put it up on the screen?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I have a, this is not what we're looking for. It's like a little, I pulled up a little PowerPoint.
No, it's like a one pager and it
Yeah.
had whereas.
Yeah, if you give me a second, I'll find it.
Okay, great. Thank you. And
This was
then
the resolution from, this was the resolution from another district?
No. This is something that Face sent, I don't know, maybe a week ago. It was shared with everybody. I'm just going to go grab a printout of that letter to the mayor so that we're prepared when that comes up. And if somebody could drop that in the chat for people to see, that would be great.
Yeah, I have the resolution. I'm looking for like the bylaw language, but I'll put it, I'll put that in here in the chat.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I have some. Wait, what's this? I don't know if this is what she was referring to.
That may be, I think that's just the overview of what the changes were.
Right. Okay, that's not what she wanted.
Yeah, I just put something in the chat. You can open if you want. It's like the resolution template. I don't think I have a bylaw one. I just see these, but we do have all these ones translated into all the languages too.
Oh, this is great. I never saw this.
Yeah,
So
I think
they
it was
put
last
this
week this came out.
together?
Yeah, we put this together. So some other folks on the CEC team alongside legal put this out. Yeah, and I believe we actually have this translated into all the languages too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have it in Arabic, Bangla, Chinese, and Spanish right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I can send it also in an email to the council tomorrow, just with everything that we have right now.
So basically, we need to pass this resolution and amend the bylaws.
Correct.
And
So
we,
it's gonna take you 2 months to amend the bylaws, right? An introduction and then a vote.
and we are free to determine how many meetings people can attend remotely.
Oh, like if if you want to say members can only come to X meetings remotely,
Right.
I think you would be able to determine that as a council, but it's something you would vote on,
Right.
everyone. Like you still need quorum in person,
Right.
no matter what.
Yeah. So you can't have an unlimited number of
People out.
people out. So you have to limit it.
Yeah, or like figure out who can or who can't, who, when it makes sense to, when it doesn't. Also, off topic, do you mind if we dismiss the Arabic interpreters? They're on the line by themselves now.
That's fine.
Great. Arabic interpreters, you're dismissed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Night.
Thank you.
Bye.
So Camille, is this what you're referring to?
That was what it was.
Okay. All right, where do you want to go from here with this?
So we need to discuss if this makes sense and if we want to add a clause in there about all members of CEC 15 must be present unless an exception of blah, blah, blah is involved. So that was what Tia was working on.
So you're basically seeking feedback from the other members about what the parameters are for operating remotely as a member.
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, we're all going to be in person.
So you would prefer a more strict exception for remote?
I mean, there are some exceptions listed there, right?
Extraordinary circumstances, including disability, illness, caregiver responsibilities, or any other significant or unexpected factor or event which precludes the member's physical attendance at such a meeting. I mean, even that is sort of vague, because is caregiver responsibility like regular caregiver responsibility, or my babysitter is sick?
I think it's about being sick, because generally we have the reimbursements, the member reimbursements for that purpose specifically.
Yeah, I think it would operate similar to how the absence excused or not works right now. Like there are some that you are always basically excused for, but otherwise the council is able to vote to excuse a member. So you can do it like that, or you can just set one of those interpretations moving forward, right? Like have it be strict or have it more open-ended.
You probably need some more specificity in here. We probably need to form a committee around this one issue that like is assigned to figure out the bylaws amendment and figure out the resolution and what those parameters are. An ad hoc committee.
Are there any volunteers for this ad hoc bylaws amendment committee?
Or just the hybrid meeting committee.
Okay, hybrid meeting committee.
And you can meet remotely.
Yeah, you can actually. Committees are fine to meet remotely.
You can meet remotely on this ad hoc committee. Oh boy.
I don't know what's going on with Tia. She's saying she's having trouble with her battery.
Well, I mean, if anybody wants more flexibility, it would behoove them to join this committee.
Can you, I'm not understanding. Why is there a need for a committee? Is this a one-time amendment, or would this be ongoing? Why do we need a committee for it?
Well, somebody needs to sit down with this language and make sure that a group of people is okay with it and present the finished product to us to discuss. And it can't really just be one person saying, this is how the body is going to function, right?
How soon does this need to get done?
It doesn't. There's no, there's no real deadline. We just.
If it doesn't get done, then we are strictly in person.
Yeah.
No hybrid option.
Yep, no hybrid option, right?
He is saying she'll write it.
She will write it. Okay.
But the trick in this is to have enough in present at a physical meeting to have a quorum, correct?
Yes.
Right. So how do we mandate that there's a quorum there? In other words, how do we say in the language, only 3 people or 2 people can be virtual on such a date?
Right.
Is that even possible?
I don't know, because everybody could have extraordinary excuses.
Well, you would reschedule the meeting.
I mean, I guess you just make these excuses really like.
What's happened in the past when
strict
everyone was just, in person?
Well, if we
Never
didn't
have
get
it.
quorum, we didn't get quorum, and you couldn't vote for anything.
Okay.
Yeah, we rarely didn't get quorum, and when we didn't, it was not a big deal to bump something to the next meeting. We always sort of knew if we were not going to have quorum. If we knew that we weren't, then we would just not have a lot of things to vote on. We just kind of bump them over to the next meeting.
That's what I'm thinking. I guess, the language is vague, but you usually know ahead of time because, members let you know if they're going to be absent. And yeah, I don't, of course, we need language, we need to do this, but I don't see it being a major issue where, you're going to find that every month we're going to have members that just don't show up or can't show up.
Is extraordinary circumstances defined somewhere with the Board of Education, or is it defined in another section of law?
No, it would be something up to the council, right?
Yeah.
So you'd be able to make a decision on an individual. You just have to vote on it. So yeah, like you can be as strict or as lenient as you want to be. Really.
There are some details in our current bylaws about reasons for absences.
Do those reasons apply to the maximum number of absences that we allowed? Is it like 3?
3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So should we just, apply that? Just 3 absences overall?
You could.
And then it's our responsibility to make sure that we attend. So if you go past that 3 absent mark, then
That's one way to do it.
Well,
It wouldn't really be absent, right?
It wouldn't be
It would
absent,
just
yeah.
be that
You would
you're
say
remote.
three remote per person.
I mean, the real problem is gonna come if the technology doesn't work and then people can't actually participate.
yeah. But then in an instance like that, I think you'd be able to excuse an absence. Like it would be up to you as the council, right? I wouldn't worry too much. But yeah, this all needs to work in order for this to be met, right?
Okay, so Tia said she's gonna write it. And Nakia, can you work with her on this? I think it's gonna be pretty quick. Like this resolution would just be the way it is. And then is there any reason why we can't pass this resolution? Because the bylaw amendment would be a little bit different, right? Steve, do we have to do both at the same time?
No, you don't have to do it at the same time.
I
They would have to align.
think this is,
But it's the amendment's the one that takes 2 meetings. This can happen at the same meeting that you approve the bylaw. Like passing this
Oh,
beforehand
okay,
doesn't do
so
anything.
just wait.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so then, you guys need this to be shared again?
Steve said he's going to share it with all of us tomorrow. He's going to email it.
Yeah,
to
I'll
us.
send it.
All right, well.
It's been
Ricky has it
translated, so I'll
already.
send it in the other languages as well.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so then, anybody else have any old business? I just have this letter to the mayor for the new business. And I know a few of you have already commented on it, and your comments were appreciated and accepted. Thank you. We dropped in the chat already.
Hold on, I gotta pull it up. I haven't pulled it up.
Okay, so just in the interest of time, I'll just start reading while you're working on it. This is basically a drafted letter to Mayor Adams on the school budget cuts. So basically, the school budget cuts get restored. So July 19th, 2022, dear Honorable Mayor Adams, Community Education Council of District 15 represents over 35,000 students and their families in grade pre-K to 12th grade. We are known as a district that works collaboratively and puts students first in our decision-making. We are greatly concerned that the cuts to school budgets that you have made are not what is best for all children. According to an analysis by the comptroller, the DOE has at least 620 million in unused funds from fiscal year 2022 that would be rolled into fiscal year 2023. A total of more than 4 billion in federal COVID relief funds that are set to expire over the next 2 years. Yet a reduction of school budgets has been put forth. Comptroller's analysis suggests that 620 million in rollover funds would be sufficient to restore the fair student funding cuts a majority of our schools are facing. Mr. Mayor, we are at a critical juncture and need you to restore school funds now, not after the mid-year adjustment. Principals need to hire and maintain necessary staff now in order to meet student needs. Schools are facing the following challenges with budget offered. Student headcounts for next year were grossly underestimated. Our district received inaccurate spreadsheets that did not reflect what is actually happening in our schools. Our principals do a very thorough job with register projections, and they know that these numbers are very low. For example, one of our schools has 47 registered incoming students for September, but was only given budget funds for 30 children. Beyond the cuts, there were also underestimates. Our district has moved people around. Some staff members are retiring, but none of that was taken into account in the spreadsheet. Principals cut down the deficit almost in half and are still forced to access staff. Appeals are being denied. Our schools are putting in appeals. This is a time-consuming, frustrating, and unnecessary process. Some schools on initial appeal were denied and then had to appeal again. Cluster programs and enrichment will be cut. We have concerns about the loss of our arts programs, other great cluster programs, cuts to science teachers in elementary schools and dual language programs. STEM labs and science lab programs will be destroyed by these cuts. Arts and enrichment and field trips are being cut across the board. We have exploratory schools that will have to limit their exploration activities. Everything that makes a school special will be gone. Anything that occurs outside of the classroom will be gone. Professional development money is being cut. Our teachers and other professionals need time for PDs. Class sizes will increase. DOE is ignoring small class size mandates and forcing classes to be at contractual capacity and using a formula that is ineffective on top of that. Schools will not meet ELL mandated services with fewer ESL teachers. We have a school with 3 ESL teachers, which meets student mandates. Our borough office rep is saying that the school should have only 1 ESL teacher based on the number of students qualifying for ELL services. There is no acknowledgement that each ELL student has a different service. Some have pull-out and some have push-in services. This formula doesn't recognize what's happening based on the mandated services. Home language survey and NICETEL determines the level of English expertise, and that level determines the number of minutes each student gets for services. Beyond these assessments, parents can request placement, and that dictates the mandates. The ESL formula has to be changed because it is not based on student need, only number of students. Just to refresh, so we're budget cuts. We're going to cut at-risk counseling being cut. We have children receiving small group or individual counseling on their IEP. These services are not being cut. However, we have schools with a significant number of children living in temporary housing who do not have IEP mandates, but require at-risk counseling. In addition, the grief, trauma, anxiety, and depression that students have experienced during the pandemic continue to well over into the school hallways and classrooms. None of these students will get the support they need. The number of guidance counselors or social workers is based on IEP mandates only. So if the school doesn't meet the threshold, children who need these services won't get what they need. Schools need counselors. Students are in trauma and need at-risk support and may not need an IEP. We don't want to see schools forced to give IEPs to students who don't need them. This is the environment that these budget cuts are creating. We will lose academic intervention services. We have schools that need academic intervention staff during the day, like reading teachers or math coaches who offer out-of-classroom services. And those staff people are being cut. We have children that are, in some cases, a year behind, struggling to keep up. Now those staff people are being told that they're being placed in a classroom and the classroom teachers are being accessed. IEP services will be reduced. Because of the low register counts, we won't know until it's too late how legally mandated services will be met, which will lead to IEP services being reduced. This is going to happen everywhere, and it's a direct result of the budget cuts. Principals won't be able to afford substitutes. Subparas offer per session, fund professional development, or purchase supplies or equipment. Budgets are very lean, even for the schools that are solvent. Funding for substitutes during the pandemic is critical. Teacher absences this year were very high, mainly due to COVID-19. No changes in technology. Schools won't be able to update technology, replace obsolete tech equipment, or ensure that every student has a device at home. Loss of critical administrative staff. Many of our schools are in danger of reducing their administrative teams and are working to prevent any loss of other staff. All they can do is fund the teaching staff. This will lead to less curricular review, revision, and other school leaders troubleshooting fiscal problems instead of doing their actual jobs of instructional supervision, teacher support, student support, and parent engagement. Also, teacher committees. Many of our teachers lead student activities and enrichment both during the school day and after school. They lead our equity work and create parent engagement opportunities. We will be losing all of this. Increased segregation. Our schools are being destroyed by these budget cuts. Of the schools that have been able to move the needle on desegregation, they will surely have trouble maintaining this trajectory. How could we ever level the opportunity playing field with these budget cuts? Our children are the future and they need to be prioritized. Returning to pre-pandemic levels of funding is not the answer. Please prioritize education and give our children what they need. Sincerely, me for CEC15, or as you wish, everybody's name.
Camille, it's a great letter. My only comment is double check this number of 620 million in unused funds.
So
that's just 2022. Because
yeah,
I had thought they were holding on to 1.1 billion for 20 and 21.
These numbers are confirmed.
Okay, all right.
Number that I would actually like to confirm is in the first line with the 35,000 students, because that feels like a moving target these days.
Okay.
So thank you to everyone who helped craft this letter and review and edit. Are there any comments?
I think it's great.
It's a great letter. I don't have many
Well
comments.
done.
Alfred, did you want to say something?
No, I just said well done.
Oh, well done. I thought you said hold on.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. And
Yeah,
I
it's a
see,
great letter.
I see we're getting some feedback in the chat too. Thank you so much. All right, so then could somebody make a motion to vote on the letter?
I make a motion to vote on the letter.
Second the motion.
Thank you for that second.
Who is that seconded?
I did, Nakia.
Nikki, okay. All right, hold on. I'm just, okay, Camille, how do you vote?
I approve.
Antonia, I approve. Tia? I assume Tia can't hear us, so I'm gonna say she's abstaining unless I hear from her. Vincent Liu?
Approve.
Nana?
Approve.
Alfred?
Approved.
Joseph is absent. Yvonne is absent. Nancy is also absent. Vanessa?
I see her there.
She said yes. Right.
Yes,
All right. Nakia?
Approve.
Okay, great. The letter is approved. Great job, Camille.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll try to mail it out tomorrow. So we had on the agenda the possibility of going into an executive session to discuss the hiring of the administrative assistant.
I want to hold off on that executive session because I got an email from HR that I'm just completely confused about. And so now I don't know what to say. So I need to hear from Jasmine Lake again before I can present anything factual about things.
I think we should just do it very quickly so that the mystery is not here with our team.
Okay, but nothing I'm going to say is accurate because I don't like, she just sent me this email, but yes, we can go into executive session to talk about it. Motion to go into executive session.
I'll second that.
Okay. I'm gonna do that. Second.
And the time is now 8:59. I don't think this is going to be more than 5 minutes.
59.
And right now we still have 20 people on the call. We will put everybody in the waiting room.
Yeah, you should vote. on it.
I'm sorry, Steve. What did you say?
Yeah, vote to go into executive session.
Right, we're voting.
We voted to go into executive session. So I need to put all these people in the waiting room, right?
Not until.
We didn't actually vote.
Yeah.
We didn't? What did we just vote on?
We didn't do the roll call vote.
We voted on the letter.
Oh. I'm just like moving along. Okay. Apologies. All right.
All right, so 9 p.m. I agree. Approved.
Antonia, I vote to go into executive session. Tia. She abstains. Vincent.
Approve.
Nana.
Approve.
Alfred.
Approve.
Joseph is absent. Vanessa.
Approve.
Nakia.
Approve.
All right. So now I have to put all these people in the waiting room. All right.
Yeah, I'll help you
You
out.
guys are co-hosts also. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna lock the meeting so no one else can come in, and then I'll help you remove other folks? No.
You know, Jared Moser is here. I should I let him.
Jared, hi,
here.
are you there?
Should
Hello,
I?
yes.
Oh, we miss you.
Yeah. So
Thank you for being here. We wanted to have a big going away party for you.
oh, yeah,
Can we do that in August? Are you still going to be in town?
I leave on the 16th. So so I'm
Our
not
meeting's the 23rd, right? Well, if we're remote, let us know. You're going to be coming on remote, and we'll have we'll put all of our settings for like a party.
okay.
What college again are you going to?
Johns Hopkins.
Johns Hopkins. Well, good luck.
Okay, thank you so much for waiting during our executive session. It is now 9:13 p.m. and we updated the council on the hiring of our administrative assistant. At this time, I would like to make a motion to adjourn the business meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Great. So business meeting is over at 9:14 p.m. And we have another meeting, our annual election meeting, which we can call to order at 9:15 p.m.
Okay, just give me a minute to write all this down. Okay. All right. So I'm going to call the roll for the annual meeting. Right. Camille Cazzaretti.
Present.
Antonia Ferraro, I'm present. Tia Shelsteed.
I think her battery died because she's not even replying to me anymore.
Okay.
But is she still here on the call? Oh, she's not at all. Okay, she's not even.
He's absent. Okay, Vincent Liu.
Present.
Okay. Nana.
Present.
Alfred.
Present.
Joseph is absent.
Turn your camera on so it's just easier for us to see who's here.
And Yvonne Bonda has an excused absence. Nancy Randall has an excused absence. Vanessa?
Here, present.
And Nakia?
Present.
Okay.
And I want to acknowledge Jared Moser is here, our former student representative, and so great to have you here in the space.
Camille, I have the annual meeting document from Faith. Would you like me to put that on the screen for you?
Should we look at the spreadsheet first?
Okay, so we'll look at the spreadsheet. Hold on.
Did anybody get a chance to even look at the spreadsheet or fill it out?
I will put that on the screen. Okay, so this is the tally form for this year's annual election. I don't know how many rounds of voting we will need, but there are 3 there for each officer position. I believe the first thing we need to do is elect the chair pro tem.
And the chair pro tem is going to be someone who is not running for president, right, Steve?
Correct.
Okay, I will nominate, I can nominate myself as the chair pro tem. Okay,
What is the chair pro tem?
they just conduct the election for the president.
Ah,
And does anybody wish to second my nomination as the chairperson? Do I just nominate myself? I have to be elected, I assume.
I would like to second that nomination.
Okay, hold on a second. I need to. I need to switch back to the other document because I have to document all of this. I'm sorry. Okay.
I guess we should just also have a conversation about, like, there's 4 of us not here, and do we feel comfortable continuing on?
Okay.
We know that Nancy had already stated her intention for VP1. I cannot. Yeah. Anyone? Yeah. Okay, then we'll just go on.
We have quorum. Right, okay, so there is a nomination on the floor to nominate Antonio for our chair pro tem. It was seconded by Nakia. Roll call vote. Camille?
I approve.
Antonia, yes, I approve. Tia is not here. Vincent? Is
We
Vincent
just
still?
list Vincent? I see him. See his name.
I guess he's abstaining. Nana?
Approved.
Alfred?
Approved.
Vanessa?
I approve.
And Nakia?
Approve.
Okay, so so I have 6 votes for chair pro tem. Now I can conduct the president nominations. Do we have any nominations for the president?
I would like to run for president.
Camille Cossaretti. Do we have any other nominations for president? We do not have any other nominations for president. I guess I'm going to close out the nominations for president. Okay, so Camille Cossaretti has nominated herself. Would anyone like to second that nomination? Is that what I do, or do I just go in for the vote? We don't second.
Just go to vote. You don't have
Just
to
go
second.
right to the vote. Okay. All right. All right. I will put in the roll call. Camille, do you?
I approve.
Okay. Antonia, I vote yes for Camille. T is absent. Vincent Liu.
Yes.
Okay. Do you support? Do you vote for Camille for president?
He said yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I guess.
Yes. Okay. Nana,
Yes.
Alfred,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
and Nakia.
yes.
Okay. So Camille, you are president of the
Thank you
council,
so much.
and I can turn back over the election to you, correct? All
Thank
right.
you. Okay, I don't have paperwork in front of me, so I'm just gonna
Oh.
wing it. Just let me know if I go off course at all.
Okay.
So the next role that we're going to seek nominations for is co-VP1. We do have a email from Nancy stating her intentions that she would like to be co-VP1. Are there any other offers or nominations for co-VP1 at this point? Going once. Okay, going twice. With no additional nominations on the floor, I will close the nominations and offer Nancy Randall as co-VP1 for a vote. Antonia, would you do it?
Yes. Camille Cossaretti, do you vote for Nancy Randall?
I do.
Antonia Ferraro, yes, I vote for Nancy. Tia is absent. Vincent Liu? Vincent? Is he?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nana,
Yes.
Alfred,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes, for Nancy.
Nakia?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, congratulations to Nancy Randall, our new co-VP1. So the next role offered is for co-VP2. Are there any nominations for co-VP2?
Can I self-nominate?
Yeah.
All right. I would like to do that.
Thank you, Vanessa. Are there any other, is there any other interest in co-VP2? Just ask one more time, any additional interest in co-VP2? All right, I will then close nominations and offer vote for Vanessa as co-VP2.
Okay, Camille Cossaretti, how do you vote?
I agree.
Antonia Ferraro, yes. Vincent Liu.
Yes.
Nana Poku
Yes.
Achum. Okay, Alfred,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
and Nakia.
Yes.
All right, congratulations, Vanessa.
Congratulations. Okay, so the next is recording secretary. Is anybody interested in being recording secretary?
I will nominate myself recording secretary.
God will bless you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other interest in recording secretary? Okay, with no other offers on the floor, I would like to call a vote for Antonia as recording secretary.
Okay, Camille Cossaretti,
I approve.
Antonia, yes. Tia, oh, she's absent. Vincent,
Approve.
Nana,
Approve.
Alfred,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Sorry, I couldn't unmute. Yes.
okay, and Nakia.
Yes.
All right. Congratulations to me.
You won the prize of the night.
Okay, treasurer.
Okay, treasurer. Are there any nominations for treasurer?
I'd like to self-nominate.
Okay, Nakia.
Thank you, Nikki.
Yeah. Okay, so anyone else interested in the role of treasurer? All right, let's close the nominations and take a roll call vote for Nakia as treasurer.
Camille Cosretti,
I approve.
Antonia, yes. Vincent,
Approve.
Nana,
Approve.
Alfred,
Definitely.
Vanessa,
Yes.
and Nakia.
Approve.
All right. Congratulations.
Alfred, you did a great job.
Are you
So
kidding? I did a terrible job, but thank you.
You
for saying-
didn't. You like totally saved us with all of that paperwork for the workshops.
Oh my God, please. Nakia, thank you so much. That's so sad. I would have voted
Okay.
twice for you if I could have.
All right.
Are
I'm
we
glad
doing
everybody gets
parliamentarian?
along so well here. Okay, so we just have the role of parliamentarian. Is anybody interested in
Yeah, I'm
parliamentarian?
gonna nominate Joseph.
Yeah.
You want to? I
We
know,
can
I'm tempted
do that,
to do the same, but
but-
we're not allowed to do that unless he's here to accept. Do we
Okay.
want to, if anybody's interested, we could do that now, or if we want to hold off and offer it to Joe, we can do that too.
I second hold off and waiting for Joe and see if he wants it.
Okay. I think we all are happy to vote for Joe if he's interested.
Yeah.
He has done a really great job.
Agreed.
Okay, so I think we're at the end of this meeting, 9:29, 1
Yay.
minute early.
Very nice.
This is the best team. All right, y'all. I will adjourn the meeting at 9:29, and thank you so much. See you in the near future, hopefully in person someday.
Congratulations, everyone, and have a good night.
Good
All
night.
right, take care.
Everyone, bye.
Good luck,
Thank you. Have a good
Jared.
night.
Where do you see?